I'm Andrew Sherman. I'm a Texas transplant who has always been in pursuit of art as a career. I've played in bands, pursued an acting career in Hollywood, but I found it behind the lens of a camera here in Dallas, Texas. I was born in New York. I've lived in Chicago, Los Angeles, Austin, but I love Dallas. There's a magical artistic scene in Dallas that mostly goes unnoticed to the outside world. This podcast is focused on what makes it so special and the people who make it thrive artistically. If you don't live here, and even if you do, you might not have heard of them. This is the Dallas Famous Podcast. So who you gonna be? Who you gonna be when you're all? This week on the Season 5 finale of the Dallas Famous Podcast, it's Jenni Rose from the Vandoliers. Jenni shares her inspiring journey from growing up in Texas, immersed in punk and country music, defining her true self and making her mark as a transgender artist. She recounts the wild nights on tour, the early days of Vandoliers, and the powerful moments of coming out publicly. With stories about performing around the world, breaking boundaries, and staying true to her roots, Jenni's honesty and resilience truly shine. This is maybe my favorite interview of the season, and I know you'll dig it. Here it is. The Dallas Famous Podcast is supported by the Mullen & Mullen Music Project. The Music Project was created by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm to champion the independent music scene in North Texas. Hey, we're back at the Deep Elm Community Center, Dallas Famous. I've got lead singer of the Vandoliers, Jenni Rose. Welcome.
Hey.
I've known you a while. In fact, some of the first shows I shot were Vandolier shows.
Yeah.
The one that comes to mind is the Paul Cawthon release at Dada. What? Why are you laughing at that?
That was a wild night.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Not for me.
At Dada?
Yeah.
That was a crazy night. That was like one of our... I met Paul when I was doing hair off Greenville, and I was like a barber for a while.
Oh.
And it was super fun. And I was doing his hair, and I was like, well, you're very eccentric, and you're wild. And like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a musician. And I was like, me too. And Paul's always been really kind to me, so it was fun to play a show. I think that's one of the few shows we've played together. Maybe because it got so wild. I mean, the place was sold out. It was crazy. It was one of our hardest partying nights, obviously, Paul Cawthon. But yeah, that's why I laugh maniacally when you say that.
I was like, yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
That tends to happen around Paul.
Oh, a lot.
But yeah, I mean, it's just cool because I started shooting when I got to Dallas. And so, yeah, you were one of the bands I shot a lot. And so my perspective at the time was I wasn't very historically aware. So I was like, how long has this band been around? And so we're going to get to you, but let's start with the band. Like, when did that start? How did that start?
2015, I have my own little barber shop suite off Greenville, and I have a punk band called The Fuss, and I am, I'm 24-ish, and I'm kind of like getting a little too old for the punk scene, or I thought I was. And my wife was really into country music, so I started writing country songs to kind of flirt with her, and like it's the girl I was seeing was, I started just kind of like playing open mic nights, like I did Salim Nurala's one at what was it, J. Pepe's?
I think he's done like a bunch.
I mean, at the time it was over there off Greenville. Yeah. And I'd go in there and I'd play my little country songs. And they were the songs that would end up being Amerikinda at the time. And then I ran in, Lindsay introduced me to John Pedigo, who is like producer extraordinaire now. Yeah. But at the time he was just like in the O's, and the O's were kind of slowing down. So he was kind of like taking on artists to see, and I was like one of them. And I brought in like, I don't know, almost 20 songs that I wrote, and we sifted through them and picked out 10 and laid down me, and then we found a drummer named Guyton, and I think he's been on your show, right?
No, but we're friends. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love him. And Guyton Sanders came over and laid down drums, and then I called my friend Jack, and then I'm doing hair, and this is where the context of having a barbershop. I'm doing hair for Olivia, Corey's wife, and she starts yelling at me that I haven't invited Corey to be in my band yet. And Corey was in Whiskey Folk Ramblers, and like Guyton was in like a bunch of other bands in Deep Ellum, and Jack was in Whiskey Folk, and I was in the Fuss at the time. So it kind of just started being like this little super group ish. Like that was kind of the joke.
Jack Daw was in the original. Yeah, Jack's been on.
Yeah, Jack's great.
Yeah.
And you know, and I just kind of just started asking people to come over and record. And so at the end of it, we had this little record. We called it Amerikinda. I gave it a band name. I just made up a word. And we played the big Folkin Festival outside over here in the parking lot of the Gypsy Ballroom. It was the Door at the time. Now it's just a parking lot.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's how Deep Ellum works right now.
Yes, it is.
And people showed up. And so we were like, okay, let's do another show. And so we did one at Fort Worth, and more people showed up. And this time we had T-shirts, so you know they sold pretty well. And I had made 100 CDs of Amerikinda. They all sold out. Then we made another 100, and they all sold out. And we sold a bunch on Bandcamp. And then State Fair Records called me back after a couple of months, and I met Trey Johnson and Scott Davis, and they really loved Amerikinda, and they wanted to keep making records, so they re-released Amerikinda the day we walked into the studio to record The Native. And then at that time, Jack didn't want to tour, and we were about to go on our first tour, and so Mark Moncrief from Whiskey Folk came over, and he filled in on bass, and he ended up being like really good, and like so good that like I've now moved him over to guitar. You'll find that this band kind of ebbs and morphs a little bit, and like he came over and just played bass. We recorded over at Audio Dallas with John Pedigo, and that's when The Native happened, and I think that's kind of when the band started really taking off locally. And like we were doing well already because like all of our previous bands were like arguably kind of popular, but not like, you know, I don't know, Whiskey Folk actually won like every award, so what am I saying?
They were kind of big for a
little
while.
They were very big, you know, and then Fuss did well, and then Trebuchet, Dustin's band, he played guitar, you know, was cool in Denton. So we kind of had like each town in DFW kind of taken over. Like I was popular in Fort Worth and Dallas, but like Whiskey Folk was also popular in Fort Worth and Dallas and Denton. Then Trebuchet was really popular in Denton, and like we just kind of all had our own separate fan bases that all kind of moved together. So like Vando was like kind of had a little bit of a foundation like right at the beginning. And then on top of that, you know, every time a band like our band's kind of ended, you still know all those people. So like I would call up people like Scott Beggs, to whom I love, and like Alan Brown and like JR, and like so already there you can kind of be like, well, I want to play this festival, or like I don't want to play that show, but I do want to play this show, you know. And like we had that time built up where we could actually kind of pick and choose what we were doing. Then we just started touring nationally. We got on a little booking agent. We got a little booking agent, and they put us all over the country for little to no money at all, and we were sleeping on floors, just like the basic thing. And then we ended up at a South by Southwest, and the cliche thing happened. Bloodshot Records saw us and wanted to sign us, and so that puts you at like 2018. And then we put out in Forever in 2019 after going to Memphis to record on a very small budget, but like in Memphis it stretched so far. And we ended up making Forever, which has like some of our most popular songs on it. And but after that, Bloodshot dropped, you know, like kind of dissolved, and then COVID happened, and I was working on a record in the middle of it, and like I don't know, this band's just been able to like kind of survive all these things. Yeah. And then we put out Every Saturday Night, and like that was our first national song. That was like people were like, "This is a good song." Not like this is a weird song, but I like it. But like this is a good song.
That was
and
the
I love
reaction
it.
Prior to that.
Yeah, I feel like Vando was kind of hard to figure out right off the bat. You know, it's like, is this a punk band? Is this a country band? It's neither really. It's
Has it always been that kind of blend, like from the beginning?
I mean, I'm writing the songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let me just like retrace this conversation. So you basically were punk rock, and then you kind of threw the country in. But you grew up with country around you, yeah?
I'm Texan.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, nobody's labeling. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out, because that was the thing with Vando at the beginning. I mean, it was, to me, like, because I didn't own the albums early on, it was just energy. It was like pure energy, and it didn't really matter what you guys were singing about as much as you just wanted to see what was going to happen, at the shows. So,
I think there's that. Energy is still there, but now I always wanted like a sing-along band. I wanted people to attach to the lyrics enough to sing back, and like that's where we are now.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time, like people like, you're only selling like a couple hundred records or like maybe 1,000 records. Like there's only so many people that know your songs and stuff. So it's like you couldn't really expect going into a venue and being like, okay, people are going to sing along. But that was always the vibe. I always like really hoped that the songs themselves would attach or connect with people.
Yeah.
But it takes a while because you have to like figure yourself out, and you have to figure out where you fit. And like, I'm a mutt. So it's kind of...
I will say you have achieved this goal. And the reason that I'll say that is because I've been listening to a lot of KXD the last few years, and Life Behind Bars came on. I knew it was you guys because they introduced the song. What's funny is I think I wasn't aware of your life changes. And so I was like, why? Every country band sings about being in jail, like what's the deal? And then I was like, oh, duh, that's not what it's about. But the point I was trying to make was the second time I heard it, I was singing along with it. It's just like, and it's in my head now. I can hear it right now. It's a great song.
Thanks.
But yeah, you achieved that sing-along thing, I think.
Yeah.
And are you seeing that at shows now is what you're saying too? Or
Bars? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the first song of the show.
Yeah. But I mean, everybody's singing along.
Oh, yeah.
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 That's cool.
Yeah, we have like a cult following, I wouldn't say like we're the most popular band in the world, but we do have like a core fan base that will show up to every show and sing every word and buy every piece of merch. And
it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, but it takes 10 years of touring and never, ever, ever phoning it in. So like there are people that have seen us in front of like 13 people. Like there was, we just got done playing a UK tour, and our first, like to give you like an illustration of what it's like touring is like my first show in London was to 12 people. And instead of phoning it in, we went hardcore. And I like memorized every person's name in the show. So I would like rattle off everybody's name and dedicate them a song. And I didn't know, but like 4 of the people in there were like of press.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't know. So they had one of those experiences were like, I didn't know this was going to happen, but I really like this band. They're super weird and there's nothing like it. And it's like, okay, cool. And then the next show we were opening for Bowling for Soup at like, and Less Than Jake at the Hammersmith Apollo, which is like a bucket list. So it's like, you never really know. Yeah. And then this last show we played in London was at the Scala, and it was sold out. And like, these are things where you're just like, what? And people are singing along to it. And like, we've been playing, this is like our 4th tour of the UK. We've done festivals. We've done small, tiny, itty bitty shows. And then we've also played like arenas with, Bowling for Soup and Less Than Jake. And then we just did a run with Skinny Lister. And these are all bands I love and all bands that have kind of inspired me. And like, if you like dive into like our tour history, all you see are like the influences of our band being like, I really like this. You should come out with us. Yeah. And so like every record that inspired me to write a song has like turned around and been like, oh, I really like that. And like that's a good
segue
experience.
to go back to the beginning for you. So you're Dallas, right?
Yeah. Well, Fort Worth. I grew up in Keller, and then I moved to Fort Worth proper after I got done with like hair school and just being like really, just finding my way. Yeah.
Were you thinking you were going to be a hairstylist before the music took off? You were just doing that to make money.
I was just doing that because I had to figure something out.
Sure.
Like I didn't know how to make being in a band 100% of what I do, but I knew that I had to like just keep going.
Yeah.
And my girl So hair was something I really liked, that I wanted to, like, I liked being around it. It was really fun, and like I wouldn't let anybody know how much I enjoyed it, but I did. And like it was really cool to be around like all these women that were super cool and pretty, and like I was just kind of a little fly on the wall there. And then at night I would go and be in a band, and I remember went on, this was back in Fuss days, and we went out with Fair to Midland for a couple of shows, and I had to like drive back at like right after the show to make it to school in the morning. So like all these girls are just looking at me, just being like super stinky and weird, like falling asleep, blow drying. But
that's funny.
But yeah.
So okay, so Fort Worth Keller.
Yeah.
Like what was your first like exposure to music where it was not just something that was in the background, that was something that really grabbed you?
I saw the Beach Boys when I was like 5, and I was like, this is cool. And then I went to a couple shows with my dad at like the Bass Hall, and they were boring. But well, I saw Blink-182 on the Mark Tom and Travis show tour, and that had like Bad Religion and Phoenix TX. So I got to see like this whole, I was introduced to punk music that way by like, okay, here's like this tiny new band. Here's like this band from the 90s that everybody should know, that is like in the 80s, that is like quintessential to punk rock. And then Blink, which was like my sister's favorite band at the time. I just went there because technically my dad was punishing her for buying tickets without telling her. And it ended up changing my life, because I went there always feeling like a little bit of an odd duck, and then I like walk in there, and then there's all these odd ducks, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then this band is playing in front of like 20,000 people, and they're like missing notes and just like kind of farting on a microphone. I'm like, well, if they can do that, this sounds fun. And I have an electric guitar, and I really want to, I love playing it, and like maybe I'll start a band. And so I started writing my own songs, and played my first show on New Year's Eve into 2001 at a roller skating rink. And that's what I count as my beginning.
How did you come into the guitar part of it?
My uncle Nick left me a Fender Stratocaster when he passed away, or he gave it to me about 6 months before he passed away. And at first I was really sad, and I didn't play it. But then I saw that show, and I really liked Green Day at the time, and I was getting introduced to Blink and Rancid, and like all the punk bands that were getting popular at the time. And I liked it because it wasn't perfect. I liked it because it wasn't like virtuosic or anything like that. It was just like easy.
Yeah, accessible.
Yeah, I could do it. And then I found like writing songs was a way that I could communicate things that I was scared to communicate throughout the day.
Sure.
And so like I would start playing these talent shows, and I would like one time I like wrote a song for this girl that I liked, and like played it, and I was super embarrassed, but like I got a date out of it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And like, I don't know, I think I found like, and then I started playing like school play or school dances and stuff, and my bands were terrible, but they were like my friends. It was also a way for me to have friends. Like I'm just obviously very weird, you know? So it's like, how do I connect with people in a way where like I can still, you know, I've had to repress and hide most of my life. So it's like, how can I like be close to people, but not be like too close where they see me yet, you know?
I always found you to just be cool as a cucumber. Like I always thought like, man, that person's got it going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that I'm not cool about stuff, like, or that I couldn't have fun. It was just more of like, I would let people get close enough.
Right.
You know?
Gotcha.
And then never the full picture.
Yeah.
And I think that there was like a mystery to that, but also kind of came off a little like, I don't know, a lot of people had different opinions about me, not knowing that these are defense mechanisms for like my dysphoria. Like, I'm sorry that you had to witness this, but you're getting too close, you know, or whatever. Yeah. And it also made me like really, to a passerby, super easy, fun going kind of person. But like the closer you would get, there would be these moments where there would be some blank spots, and like that would end a relationship, or like that would strain a friendship or something like that.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I was just kind of part of it.
Yeah. I remember the first thing I remember was when you guys got into Rolling Stone, when you were like protesting and wearing the dresses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My egg crack.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that.
Corey's really smart and up to date with everything, and lets us know that there's this big drag ban bill happening in Tennessee, and that he's going to wear a dress on stage to protest. And then everybody in the band is like, well, we got to protest. And then like, I'm like, well, yeah, we got to protest, but also we get to wear dresses. And like, I don't know. We all had so much fun and we were all doing this thing. But I mean, it was a little nerve wracking because it was at like a Harley Davidson dealership in
really?
Tennessee. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nothing is done. You don't go viral for, like, we did it at this place called The Shed, which is like notorious, like country rock, you know, hyper masculine.
Yeah.
Check out my Softail Deluxe kind of Harley Davidson. Like, we're coming out to, you know, Shania Twain's, like, Feel Like a Woman, and we're all wearing dresses, and then we play this like very weird country music. And you know, people had fun, but there were only like 80 people. We thought we were just kind of doing a thing to say a thing, and like, you know, get our punch, our jabs in, and we get off stage, and the photo we took outside is like going viral.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh. And then the news starts calling, and then all of the press starts calling, and then I'm having an awkward conversation with my wife over the phone, on speakerphone with my family who's watching the news, and there's me in a dress. And like, you know, that was kind of my first view of what people would do if they found out I was trans. And, you know, on one hand, I'm seeing a lot of good, and we're getting a lot of like people who are coming out and being like, this meant a lot to me, and this has really inspired me, and this is really great, and what you're doing is really important, and like, thank you. And then on the other side of it, I'm watching like my wife put two and two together, and then like my family being awkward because they remember when I used to wear dresses as like a kid, and then like all this stuff is kind of happening, and like in my brain, I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh fuck, like everybody sees it, and like I'm like shit. And so even if no one saw it, my brain is already processing like all of these things and is putting two and two together, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I'm trans. Like I've been like this my entire life.
So you weren't really completely owning up to it or convinced, or
I didn't want to.
So, but you were. It was in your mind, though, yeah, or no?
You ever have okay, I'm an alcoholic, so let me tell you from an alcoholic standpoint.
Okay.
I used to drink, and some nights I'd be totally fine, and some nights I would be totally a wreck. But at no point in time did I think I was an alcoholic until the moment I discovered I'm an alcoholic. So it's like I have all these like things that are so 100% trans that are hilarious to look back on 2020. But at the time, they were things that I was a little like shy or ashamed about, or things that like were interests that I didn't want people to know about, or they were moments when I felt the most myself, but you know, I was feminine, and like I couldn't let people know that, and I couldn't let people see that. And like there were moments when I was a kid where I felt like there was a woman inside of me, like, and I didn't know why or how to say that. Also, what a weird experience to have as a kid, you know. And
it wasn't really out there.
No.
Yeah, like
especially
people,
in Texas.
Yeah.
And like I grew up in a conservative family. I went to church. I like, you know, like I knew it wouldn't go over very well. And like even in 8th grade, like I talked to my parents, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gay because I still like girls, but I don't feel normal like everybody else, and I'm like uncomfortable in the locker room, and like I'm having a hard time connecting with people fully, and that kind of got, they did their best, but they kind of saw that as a reason for more church. And like, yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I could see that.
So, I kind of learned that it wasn't safe for me to be like that. And so that's when I started smoking cigarettes. That's when I started drinking. I was around 14. And there were some other things that happened that kind of like pushed me towards that. But that's kind of how I just started repressing. And it was like a slow destruction, but still destructive. Not noticeable. Like, they'd be like, you got to quit smoking. Or like, I can't believe I are you drunk? Kind of thing. But not like cuts on the arm.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was just how I destroyed myself a little bit at a time. And that was kind of how I numbed myself from feeling out of place, and a way for me to connect superficially with people who I was never going to tell this part of my life. And then, Rachel Maddow was fucking talking about me in a dress. I'm like, oh, fuck. And
so you were regretting it at first a little?
No, but I was, you'll go back and look at those interviews, and you can definitely see me defer to Corey, like, a lot.
Yeah.
And like, oh no, this is Corey's idea. Like, yeah, I just went along with it, just trying.
That's convenient.
Just trying to help. I remember this one lady being like, is there anybody in the LGBTQ in your band? And I really wanted to be like, yeah, but I didn't. And I feel like sort of bad about that, like sort of terrible about that, because like that would have been a really big moment for somebody that might not have seen my Rolling Stone article, so. Yeah. But at the same time, I really wasn't ready, and I didn't know anything, and that was 2022, 23. Yeah, 23. So I spent the rest of that year kind of figuring it out, and then we got into the studio in 2024 for Life Behind Bars, and I've written all these cryptic songs about being trans and shit, and they're the ones that, out of 40 songs, those are the ones that my producer keeps picking. And it's like, why don't you go a little deeper with these lyrics? Why don't you expand on this idea and stuff? And then I'm like alone in my bungalow, and I'm just like a wreck. And like that's when I knew like I was gonna have to tell somebody what I was going through, because I was just going, I was isolating myself. I was really, I wasn't socializing with anybody anymore. So, I just had a lot going on, and I was scared, but with all the songs being picked, I was like, I'm going to have to explain, because I know how these interviews go, be like, what does this song mean? What does this line mean? What's going on?
You, not to interrupt, but you, so you wrote these songs before you had like kind of addressed the situation?
Well, yeah. I think that I processed my life like I always do in music, and I know what these things mean. But then like, I assume that through poetic, vagueness, I can kind of get away with it and like let it out without people seeing it. But my producer wouldn't let me write shit like that. He made me keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and more literal. And so, it started coming out.
Right.
And like, I mean, Evergreen talks about wearing a dress, and, and like, what's the shadow and Dead Canary, and what does that mean? And, and, so it's a lot.
I mean, I'm sure this has been in other interviews already, but for those who haven't seen them, like, what was the moment where you addressed it? I guess first to who did you address first, and then how did you make it public?
So I have the experience at Sonic Ranch, and that is in March of 2024. And that June, I come out to my wife. So like I'm in the studio, and I'm like, a year prior to getting into the studio, we do the dresses. This is the timeline. After the dresses thing happens, I go, oh fuck, I might be trans. For that entire year, I am hoping I'm wrong.
Okay.
And I'm writing this record on the road. And then I get to the studio with Ted, the thing I've been working on, the reason I got sober. Well, not the reason I got sober, but the light at the end of the tunnel for going on tour with a bunch of party animals and being the only person that's not.
Right.
40 songs. Our fan base has given us a king's ransom of money to pay this Grammy award-winning producer to record us at this, brilliant studio where hit records are made. It's time to show up. And I'm having an identity crisis, and maybe not an identity crisis, but I'm having a crisis of like, oh, I think there's something like, I don't think this is going away kind of thing. And so I get home from the studio and I try to go back to my life. I'm working out one day and I started reading this book called The Four Agreements. The first chapter is be impeccable with your word. I break down, and then I go home, and I think Lindsay is going to go to work, and I think she's in her car. And so I am in a literal closet screaming into a pile of T-shirts, and she walks in and finds me. She's like, what's going on? And we sit on the ground, and I tell her, I'm trans. I'm freaking out. And it's been going on for a long time. And I don't know what to do. And it's not great. No one wants to hear that. But it's the truth. And so we have a night of questions and hugs, and then from there somebody else knows. I was the first person I told. And then I didn't tell the band until November. That fall, I took Mia Byrne out on the road with her band of trans girls, and Mia is also trans, and I got to experience how my band would interact with a trans person without them knowing. And they did great. They did great. They're totally stand-up guys, and they treat everybody with the utmost respect, and it was really cool and very impressive. I told my drummer, Trey, on that tour, and when I got home, I told my dad. And then on election night, with all the optimism in the world, I told my band and my manager and agent. We were on tour with Lucero at the time. And so I didn't know my name yet. I just told them that I had gender dysphoria and that I was a trans person. And this is what's been going on, and why my nose has been in a book for the last 2 years, and why I've lost a bunch of weight and don't have body hair anymore, or, or don't have a beard. And, there was like a collective sigh of relief, and we all banded together on that tour and did a great job. And when we went out on our winter tour with Toadies, I came out to Tammy Thompson and Donnie Blair, and I showed them these demos of this band called Tom Girls that I'm working on. And I was all like, I got this thing, and like, I'm trans. And then they were like, okay, that's awesome. Congratulations. I'm like, yeah, okay, now tell me if these demos are good.
Always a musician, no matter what.
It's like, here's the context. But yeah, like Bars isn't out yet. Rolling Stone hasn't dropped yet. I'm just kind of like building this little landing pad kind of thing. I told my mom on day after Christmas, like 6 a.m. I kept telling friends and family leading up into the Rolling Stone article, and then April 18th, Rolling Stone dropped, and my life changed completely. Yeah. Social media names changed, followers exploded / mine, like lost a lot of flight. The trail. Yeah. First single drops. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Intense.
Yeah, very intense. I mean, and it's funny too, because like, I'm sure you've gotten it from both directions, but on social media, I've only seen positive stuff.
Yeah. I'm not in the...
Well, I mean the reaction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, you've been positive the whole time. I mean... Best
coming out, public coming out in trans history, possibly.
Yeah.
The least amount of hate.
Yeah, it's great.
I think it's a testament to the band. We've pruned all of the maggots right out of it. Mm-hmm. Like they can't be like, what?
Yeah.
The band that opened for Bernie Sanders? The band that wore dresses? It just doesn't. Yeah. They're like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Already hated them.
Right.
Yeah, we got all of our death threats from the dresses. And then afterwards they were all like, oh, knew it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But that's like.
Which is funny because you didn't even know it.
I know.
At the time.
Be like, you could have told a girl,
Yeah, right.
Save me some time.
Oh, that's right. You reminded me. I was at that Bernie Sanders with you guys.
That was a ragtag bunch that day.
That was an interesting gig.
I was like, are you sure you want to be president? Because this is pretty...
Yeah. Well, for me, I mean, I wasn't shooting for that long. And all of a sudden, I mean, I shot the band.
Yeah.
And now I'm like next to CNN reporters in the pit, like with Bernie right there. And I'm just like, this
is a security nightmare. That's all I could think of.
Really? For you?
Yeah, there was no security. Thus the nightmare.
Yeah. Well, I just was at the Bernie thing with Old 97. Same thing. There was like no security at all. It was weird, Well, I mean, in Fort Worth, maybe not so weird.
Well, you did it in Fort Worth.
That one was in Fort Worth.
Well, this one we did. It was in Dallas. Like some rodeo I've never been to in my entire Mesquite or something. Yeah.
There was one Trump supporter out front. I remember, and he wouldn't let me take pictures.
Again, they know.
Yeah.
Like, this is just the other side of the coin at that point.
Sure.
And I think that's why I didn't get so much hate. But, like, I also am... I was very shielded by a lot of it because I was in a band. Mm-hmm. And I was very, like, all of the scary stuff hadn't started yet either. Mm-hmm. Like, the rhetoric was still pretty mild.
Right.
By comparison to now.
Yeah.
And by the time this airs, it'll probably be even worse because every day.
Yeah.
But like, if me just being honest helps as many people that have reached out to me and stuff, like, it's a bit daunting, but like...
It's a lot, like you're like this spokesperson in a way without asking to be,
I think I'm just visible.
Well, yeah.
Whereas like the typical trans objective is to not be visible.
Sure.
Sure. But like, I don't really get that.
I mean, if you think about it, and I know this is nothing to do with why, but it's very punk rock right now, especially to just be yourself and to be like, I don't care what the world thinks one way or another. This is who I am, and this is who I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah, I think punk rock, by being exposed to it so quickly at an early age, like I was like 11, I really have never cared about how people have never been able to tell me how I should dress or look or act or any of that. and my capacity to be counter to any kind of societal norm is pretty great, you know. So like, I think I'm more built for it, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
than say, you know, if I were trying to be in a Patagonia sweater or something like that, you know, like right. Or whatever. If I think the punk rockness has also been like an added layer of armor for this journey. Mm-hmm. Like, I have years of indoctrination by Joe Strummer and you know, all my favorite bands and stuff. So yeah, I can kind of like go in and be a little bit anti-establishment just right off the bat.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah.
Cool. I mean, and it does seem like it's helped now, your career, but I mean, as we've kind of discussed, it's like it just timed out well, I think, because you were getting better as a songwriter, figuring out how to say, you know, speak your voice and put it into songs that people could relate to. Yeah. And then now it all just kind of happens where you get this publicity right when you write your best material, really, you know.
Oh, thank goodness.
You know, yeah. I mean, it worked out. Sure. It is working out, you know. But I think that's cool. And like I said, like that song, I mean, there was a few songs of yours that would rattle in my head, but that the new stuff is just so
thanks,
like accessible is the best way to say it, you know.
A lot of effort into making the best thing that we could make. I remember talking to Ted over the phone when I was still trying to con him into doing a record for a band he'd never heard of. But like Flogging Molly was like, you know, it's a good band. I just told him, I was like, Ted, I really do not have any interest in writing hits with you. I just want to make a really beautiful piece of artwork, you know, mostly because I've done 4 records of trying to write hits, like trying to write a country song that would be a big country song, or a song that would, you know, get on a Spotify playlist for Texas music or whatever the fuck I was really worried about at the time, you know? And I just kind of gave up on all that stuff. Like, I'm too weird to ever fit an any kind of like algorithm or anything like that. And I'm like, I'm not a teenager on TikTok. Like, I'm just writing. I write songs for a band, and I want to work with this guy who has made all of my favorite records. And I just kind of use being in a band as kind of like an excuse to travel the world and do really cool stuff with people that I admire, you know, and like all the other things kind of fall into place when I get into that mindset. Right. But yeah, it was really cool that these songs that were not meant to be accessible were, and I think it really is just about how open we all were when we wrote it and how much time we put into the music and the performances and stuff. And like, yeah, you're working with Ted Hutt, it's going to sound good, you know, but like, yeah, like the moment I was the most open was the moment that people really saw me. Yeah. And that's like the cool part of all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Getting a little bit towards the end, what's coming up for you?
Life is changing. Life is moving. We got, we're on a little bit of a break, and then we pick up the pieces and try to go back out on tour in February. And we have the Outlaw Country Cruise. We have, you know, a full...
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. And
I saw you doing a little solo thing at Jambaloo. That worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Corey texted me, and I was like, yeah, I mean, you don't have to book the 6-piece band, you know, you can just book me. I'll come and play. So I'm doing that. I got that Tom Girls pop punk thing, or punk record.
Talk about that a little bit.
In October of 2024, I wrote a bushel of songs, and they all were punk songs, and they all had to do with my transition and my dysphoria, and this was like right before I came out to the band, so maybe it was like a subconscious, like, if they kick me out of this band, at least I'll have a record's worth of music. You know?
Interesting.
But it ended up being really good, or I think it's really good, and Trey thinks it's really good, so like, I went to audio engineering school before I did hair school, and so I've been recording at my house, and like, which is great because it's cheap. And then Trey and I are gonna go record some drums, and then I'm gonna mix it, and I'm gonna have it mastered, and I'm gonna put it out.
Are you gonna like do a band with that, or?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. If somebody wants me to play, I'll play. That's kind of how all of this works.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really like. If I went after it and I was all like, I want to be famous, you know, then like, maybe I assume I'd get disappointed, you know. Mm-hmm. But if I go into it and I'm like, I want to like make this real, then I just want to make it real. So first step is like, can I make this record real? And I think I can, because we won some studio time, and in like a little contest thing. So we're gonna go and record some drums.
Nice.
Yeah, and then after that, I'll figure out when people would hear it, and then
what to do with it.
Yeah, we played the Hagfish reunion at Granada, and like it went over really well. Like we played well. I mean, Trey and I have been playing for close to 20 years together, so like, you know, him and I playing this kind of music's really good, and then there'll be a bass player at some point.
Sure.
Right now, I'm the bass player.
Cool.
But yeah, it's been really great.
Nice. Let's end it with, because this is Dallas famous, so let's end it with, you've traveled the world as a musician.
Yes.
What makes Dallas special musically?
Oh my gosh, so much. For one, the bands are really good. They're so good. I've been to towns where they tote their music scene, and they couldn't hold a candle to any band. I love that Dallas also has younger bands, and I love that we have so many venues. At the moment, I know that sounds like we don't, you know, because everything's kind of closing, but we really do. And like, we do have a healthy ecosystem of like taking bands from being small bands to being bigger bands. You know, like there's press, there's radio, there are people who book shows, there are promoters, there's like the ground level is there to be, you know, a part of the industry. And it may not look like the money and fame of an LA, Austin, Nashville, New York kind of thing, but like all of those things are kind of superficial anyway, and they're not guaranteed. But like in Dallas, like if you're good and you can tell your friends to come to the show, people love seeing live music here. There are places to see live music that are inherently cool, just regardless of what band is on, you know? And then like, then you go out there and like you know, show people what you do, and like you do it well, they're going to talk about it, and then you're going to get another show. And like, not every place has that. Like a lot of places are, you know, struggling with their venues. A lot of places don't have younger bands. They only have older bands. Like some places it's like, it's kind of hard to find like a local opener, or like sometimes it's like, oh, that venue closed, you have to go play at this place, and it's exponentially smaller and has a lower budget. And like, I feel like Dallas just has like a lot of options.
Sure.
And like you can kind of like fit in somewhere. Are you country? Are you punk? Are you hip hop? Are you EDM? Like there's a thriving scene for everything. Yeah. And just not a lot of cities have that. And like, once again, let me go back to the first reason. The bands are so good here. Like everybody is such a talented performer, songwriter. Like, I mean, just look at the Americana scene that we started in. It was us, Paul Cawthon, Texas Gentleman, Charlie Crockett, Joshua Ray Walker later on. But like, dang.
Yeah, that's
you know,
that's like a Nashville special, but it's not.
Yeah, but it's not.
Know?
It's here.
Yeah.
That's great.
Jenni, thank you so much.
Thanks.
We want everyone to stick around for a song that Jenni's going to play, and we'll have links to everything we'll be looking out, and just really happy that it's all working out, like everything, both, you know, professional and personal.
Thanks.
So, yeah.
Yeah. The song's called Life Behind Bars.
I'm on the edge of oblivion, sick of the cell I've been living in. It's all I wanted when I was a kid. I wasn't born with a silver spoon, short fuse with nothing to lose. I'm doing time on a 20-year bid. We all said we were innocent. I spend my life behind bars in moving cars. I stay out all night shooting stars and earning scars. Yeah, I'm guilty as charged. I'm spending my life behind bars, incarcerated until the day that I make it. A bum deal on a money split, but they ain't giving out favors. You gotta earn your papers. The only chance I'm getting out is on bad behavior. I spend my life behind bars and moving cars. I stay out all night shooting stars and earning scars. Yeah, I'm guilty as charged. I'm spending my life behind bars, but hope's a dangerous game. It drives me insane. Some birds can't be caged, still won't fly away. Hope's a dangerous game. It drives me insane. Some birds can't be caged, still won't fly away. I'm on the edge of oblivion, sick of the cell I've been living in. It's all I wanted when I was a kid. We all said we were innocent. I spend my life behind bars and moving cars. I stay out all night shooting stars and earning scars. Yeah, I'm guilty as charged. I'm spending my life behind bars.
I'd like to thank Jenni Rose for joining me. You can check out the Vandoliers on tour and their music online.
Thank you to the Deep Ellum Community Center for letting us record here. Theme song Unstoppable by Celine Narala, and the outro is The Place to Be by Electric Ants. Thanks again to the Mullen & Mullen Music Project for their support. Like, subscribe, and share the podcast, and we'll see you next week.